Peggy Nienaber with Rev Pat Mahoney. We're
Hi.
right outside of the Faith in Action Ministry Center right here in Capitol Hill, where we are allowed to pray in the U.S. We are allowed to have freedom of speech, and that brings us up to what we're doing our video on today. As many of you have seen in the news, the Chinese blind activist, activist Chen, who has now arrived into the United States. We want to thank all of our supporters who help support Pat Mahoney, our ministry, and helping for prayers and having him, with all those support, having him here and now in the United States. And I'm actually going to turn this over to Pat because he led the whole prayer vigils and everything regarding this particular activist, and then we'll move into another subject that's relating to this as well.
Well, Peggy, through prayer, we don't have to be the victims of history, but we can see God change and shape history.
That's right. 3
weeks ago, no one gave Chen Guangcheng a chance to leave China. This blind human rights activist who had fought for poor farmers and is most well known for speaking out against the forced abortion policy of China was released from the American embassy in a hospital. Nobody thought he would get out of China. I want to thank every Faith in Action supporter. People wondering, does prayer work? You joined us. We went and prayed in front of the Chinese embassy. We organized demonstrations and witnesses in front of the White House. We mounted a massive campaign, and we are delighted to report just a few days ago, Chen Guangcheng stepped foot on American soil. Chen Guangcheng can now worship God according to his own beliefs, say what he desires to say, pursue the path for he and his wife and 2 beautiful children. And I just want to thank you. Prayer does make a difference. Prayer does change things. And making phone calls, calling. We kept pressure on the Obama administration, and they responded. And Chen Guangcheng, his wife, and his 2 beautiful children are now free today because of your efforts and the work of God's Holy Spirit.
Well, I know at first we thought it was just going to be him, and then when all of them, when the whole family stepped on the ground in New Jersey,
incredible.
People just cheered and cheered.
By the way, Reverend Shank in my birth state, I think there's something significant there. We were born in New Jersey, and that was the first place that Chen Guangcheng set foot. So.
And I know he headed right up to New York and
That's
just
right.
sat in a park all night. And that shows you in the U.S. how we have that freedom of speech and prayer, which is what is important for all of you to do. But we're turning the subject over to yet another pastor that we need to keep you in our prayers. And I also want you to kind of share with them the next step, what we're looking forward to in helping this pastor with everything.
Sure. Peggy, you made a great point. This beautiful 10 Commandments, if you set that up in most countries in the world, you would be facing prison.
That's
Pastor Youcef Nadarkhani is now on day 953 in an Iranian prison. He has been sentenced to death. The Iranian Revolutionary Council demanded that he renounce his Christian faith, which he would not do. He immediately got a death sentence, and right now, his wife, his 2 beautiful sons, they don't know if this is his last day. Through Faith in Action and the Christian Defense Coalition, we've been out praying. Iran doesn't have an embassy here in Washington, D.C. They have what's called an interest section.
Right.
We had a big prayer vigil through technology like you're seeing now.
Right.
We had people. Peggy was in New Jersey, joined us. People in his church in Iran joined us. People were praying. We are praying for the immediate release of Pastor Youcef Nadarkhani. We are praying that Iran honors religious freedom and free speech. And Peggy, on July 8th, day 1,000 of Pastor Youcef's incarceration, we may be going over to Turkey and try to get into Iran, and we'll share more on that.
And we'll pray here. And
Absolutely.
we want you to pray here. That's the whole key, is that the more that we have gathered and the more that we have prayed, things just as the blind activist, which everyone knows now is in the United States, that gentleman is a happy, happy man and praying to God, and that's what we want to see. The same thing happen to this pastor as well. So we're going to check in, watch for our updates on this, and Pat, we want to thank you. You're our lead on this as well, and we just can't thank you enough for being one of our allied ministries here. But keep watching for our updates and check in with you later.
Blessings.